enjoy the process that you're going through, enjoy the work that you do, and the results are better. And you're right, the paychecks could be better here and there, but the reality of it is the joy that you get from your job and that your interaction with people makes more difference than the amount of money you put in the bank at the end of the day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Duvenois. So you really can't go anywhere in Michigan, whether it's your favorite restaurant or your hotel or any local business that you go to, and not see a help wanted sign. It seems to be just something that has happened with our economy, that good help really is hard to find, and people aren't applying for jobs, or if they do apply for jobs, they don't seem to stick around for very long. Anyways, today I heard about a gentleman who actually found a very interesting solution to the problem of finding good workers for his store, and to walk us through that today about how he journeyed and the results that he's seen from that is he's the owner of the Ziebart Franchise located in Bay City, Michigan, and that would be Ben Rogers. Ben, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Ben, if you would, why don't you tell us, what is Ziebart?
So from the beginning, Ziebart Corporation was started by a German immigrant to Michigan in the late 1950s as a mechanic. Kurt Ziebart, the founder of Ziebart, developed a process to protect vehicles in Michigan from being rotted away by the corrosiveness of salt. From that has developed to be a worldwide corporation with franchises all over through the United States and all over the world. We had about 15 years ago, my father and I had the opportunity to jump into a business together. And so together we chose the automotive protection business. He has since retired, and now I own this store in Bay City, which has been a great blessing to me and to my family and our community through the ability to protect vehicles and help people to get a long lifespan out of their vehicle.
Now, if you would, because when you talk about protecting your elements from, or protecting your car from the Michigan elements, which there's a lot, why don't you walk us through, what does that entail specifically?
So the protection services started out with just rust protection services that are going to be coatings to protect the metal surfaces on your car from being corroded by salt. Since then has developed to fabric protection services to protect your seats and interior from staining and from kids and pets and things like that. Also, processes that developed to protect the paint finishes on the outside of the car, so to protect your shine, to keep the finish scratch-free. There's also products to keep the front end from chipping from road debris. We have a whole line of automotive accessories. We have spray-on truck bed liners to protect truck beds. And we do all kinds of electronic installs, such as remote car starters for wintertime as well.
Awesome. Now, Ben, if you would, let's take a step back in time. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in mid-Michigan in Birch Run, just a small community. And we just, I met my wife in high school sweethearts, still live in the same community, still love the people in our small community. And so I just love this mid-Michigan area. And
so you grew up there. Did you go to college?
Yep, I studied automotive service at local Delta College. So through that, I became a mechanic for a few years, owned a trucking company, which kind of took me out on the road, which was a strain. It's just difficult to be away. And my wife and I were at a point where we were ready to start a family, and traveling and being on the road was not a good fit. At that time, my dad was looking to step out of the corporate life he was in and purchase a business. And so we collaborated together to come up with a plan that he and I would work together in this business until he was ready for retirement. And as long as it was, he and I could agree on the business to choose that it would be something I would enjoy, it was my passion to continue on with. So we narrowed it down to an automotive thing that, is a great value for customers that we both really got excited about.
So it seems like automotive has been a part of your life forever and a day. Where did that, passion for automotive come from?
It's hard to be in Michigan and not have a passion for automotive things,
Which
right?
is true. Which is true.
But my early memories as a child, I've always just enjoyed tinkering with things, working in the garage with my dad on the car and all kinds of things. So great memories there. And it just kind of carried on through, high school. When I started driving, I was all about, getting cars and fixing them up and being able to, just have cool stuff. So it's always been just a passion and a joy, just working with cars there.
For some reason, I got this vision in my head of a young Ben getting like one of those model kits.
Oh, yes.
And putting together, you have like...
I have done that, yes.
Okay,
yep,
you still have them.
I do still have a few of them.
Yep. Oh, awesome. This is great. And so now because you talked about like tinkering. So is this something that your father also did as well? Or was it like some uncle, or where did the actually tinkering with real cars come from?
Yep. So my father, all through my childhood, even through present day, even now that he's retired, has always got a project that he's working on. So no matter what, he has to have something, some project going. And so, seeing him doing that and the joy he gets from the satisfaction of taking something apart and getting it, everything, back to premium condition and working again. It's just kind of an amazing process. And so I had learned that at a young age, and it's continued with me throughout. So it's kind of just been one of those things. And I'm sure in my retirement, I will still be doing the same. I'll be finding car projects or something mechanical projects to be working on.
So now all of a sudden I'm having this like visions in my head of, a garage with all these like, muscle cars or whatever it is. Is that the kind of stuff that he likes to tinker with, or?
It kind of, it depends, right? It depends on the season. So there's, for me, it's not necessarily muscle cars. It's more like I enjoy trucks, like off-road stuff. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
My dad, it's always been like European sports cars. So like the Triumphs and the MGs and those type of cars.
Yeah.
He's since retired and has kind of gotten a little bit away from the European sports car thing. And now he's doing like equipment stuff. So like forklifts and bobcats and I don't know. It's just a new thing to him. So he's like, I want something new. I've done cars projects for a long time, but these are still mechanical things.
Right.
And so that's a new, intriguing adventure to keep him, just learning new things and keep him just growing in a, mental capacity of this is the newness of everything.
Right. So you talked before about how you decided to go to Delta College in Saginaw, and you got your certification in automotive technology.
Yep.
Was that
automotive service? Yep.
Automotive service. So here's a question for you. Why not run down the mechanical engineering road and become like an automotive engineer for one of the big three or big five or however many there are now?
Right. It was a thought along the way, and it may have been a good path for me. It did not feel right at the time. I also felt like the engineering process took me too far away from the hands-on process.
Oh, okay.
And as I kind of went down that road and talking with counselors at the high school, talking with planning people at the college, I did realize I enjoy more of the hands-on and less of the sitting at a desk and looking at a computer screen part of the job.
Okay.
I can't do the office job situation. I'm a little bit too ADHD maybe or something. So the office sitting in front of a computer, it's just that's not for me. And so the hands-on, which is so cool about working on cars and seeing the transformation in the process that we do, the joy I get of that, seeing the start to finish and having my hands on it, doing it.
Right.
There's where the joy is for me.
Now, when you got your certification for automotive service, was it your plan to like maybe work for a dealership or something else like that and just kind of see where it took you?
Yep. So after college, I did work for a small repair shop. I did work for a General Motors dealership. I enjoyed both of those processes. I felt like I needed more than just that small niche. A lot of the dealerships and repair facilities, they have you working on basically the same project consistently.
Right.
And there's no variety there. There's not enough variety there for me to keep me entertained. You're kind of working on like, the same Chevy over and over and over again. And I'm like, I need more than that. I need a variety of different models of cars from all makes, and I need a variety of different types of projects on these cars.
Sounds like you need a challenge.
Yeah, I just it needs to it just can't be consistent. It needs to be something new and
Variety
exciting.
and yes. All right,
absolutely.
That's cool. Yeah. Now, as you're going through this career and you're working on automobiles, servicing them, your dad decided to buy a business. Talk to us about that. What was his thinking behind that? Why go through that?
Right, and there's a lot of process to owning a business.
Yes, there is.
When I was younger, he had owned several different businesses. And so I kind of grew up with that, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to do that kind of struggle,
Right.
because you put in a lot of hours, and especially at first, you put in a lot of hours for no money or very
Yes,
little money.
That's true.
And I wasn't sure I wanted to do that, but timing wise, wanting to not be on the road consistently, traveling, so I could have more regular hours is better for family life. Also, in my dad's situation, he was working for a large healthcare company, and there was a lot of traveling with that, and he was bored with the corporate life. You need specific characteristics to that, and he also, like me, loves tinkering with stuff, and he's like, I don't get that out of this job. And it was a great job. So there was a transitional time where the company was being bought out, and they had decided to get rid of all of the upper management, which happens in the corporate life, right? And he's like, okay, cool. This is a great opportunity to do something for the next, 5 or 10 years until I'm ready to retire. So he's like, well, I'm just going to buy some business to, tinker around with for a few years and then sell it when I'm ready to retire.
Sure.
And so as he's discussing this with me, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, this is what I've been looking for in my life. This is what my wife and I have been praying over, so that we can have an opportunity to start a family where I'm not
on the road, because you were driving at this time.
I'm relying on being on the road as a truck driver for sometimes 2 weeks at a time, and then home for a couple of days. And that's not a lifestyle that I wanted to have for a family. And so I feel like God answered those prayers with the ability for both of us to kind of come together at this moment with the same need and the same desire out of what business we were looking for and what passions we both had together. So it was a pretty exciting thing just to see how this all worked out together. And there were several options, and immediately this was the first one we both looked at and said, this is the one. This is the one that's going to give us this automotive passion that we have, this variety of things to do that we won't get bored with, the cutting edge, we're leading out into the market, top of the line business platform franchise. So it was a pretty easy decision once we started looking at what options are available. So that was a pretty exciting moment.
What I'm seeing here is this recurring theme between your dad and yourself about the importance of fulfillment in what it is that you're doing, not just chasing a paycheck, but what you do actually matters. Like there's there's a personal happiness inside of you that you need to kind of scratch that itch, so to speak. I mean, you could have being an automotive service tech and got a paycheck. You could have been truck driver guy, but just like with your dad, he could have been still the corporate executive, but it seemed like both of you had this itch inside of you to do something that was more fulfilling.
Right. Something I had learned a long time, and seeing my dad own businesses and work for other people as I was growing up, and things that I've learned from him along the way is, you're right. You can get a paycheck. There are plenty of places you can get a paycheck. And there's more to life than that. And that's kind of the thing about this. Even though automotive engineering would have been an option for me, I don't feel like I would have been satisfied with that as a job. And I think that along the way he's taught me, more importantly, to be happy with what you're doing.
Yes.
Enjoy the process that you're going through. Enjoy the work that you do, and the results are better. And you're right, the paychecks could be better here and there, but the reality of it is the joy that you get from your job and your interaction with people makes more difference than the amount of money you put in the bank at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, I think that being happy with my career, being happy with the people I get to interact with, having a joy in the day-to-day is very fulfilling.
Very much so. For our audience, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. When we come back, Ben Rogers, the owner of the Ziebart Franchise located in Bay City, Michigan, is going to walk us through some of the challenges that he's had and especially finding good help. We will see you after the break.
Hey, if you are enjoying these great interviews, just take a moment and go to totalmichigan.com/join, and you can get these episodes sent directly to your inbox because there's a lot more great stories coming. See you there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Duvinois. Today, we're talking with Ben Rogers, the owner of the Ziebart Franchise located in Bay City, Michigan. And Ben, before the break, we were talking about how you and your dad were taking a look at different franchises. You wanted to buy a business in a box, so to speak. And you both settled on Ziebart because it scratches that automotive itch that's inside of you. Now that you've gone through the process of actually getting the franchise, which that could be a whole interview by itself, because I know it's not so easy, but you get the license, you're starting to get the business up and running. Why don't you talk to us about some of those initial challenges of going from being an employee to now business owner?
Yeah. So initially, there's a lot of newness to it. So you're going to have some growing pains there. So seeking out the right staffing, training them correctly, which through the franchising, the corporate office is amazing with all of the training that we needed.
Cool.
So it was easy for them to come up. The world headquarters for Ziebart is in Troy, Michigan, not too far away. So another great Michigan company, which was a priority for us. So they're not far away for training. We can send employees down and get them to come up and send trainers up to us in our facility as well. But it's a process, right? So we had a lot of brand new employees, a brand new leadership team, right? So my dad and I are trying to figure it out. We're getting our employees to try to figure it out, trying to right people to hire for specific tasks and what you're looking for in an employee. Depending on the different tasks that we're asking for them, a lot of the stuff is either very detail oriented or very artsy kind of thing. And It's interesting that some of the processes, you have to have, you're looking for some art-minded people, and then you're looking for these mechanics kind of people, right? And so it took us a minute to try to figure that out in the interview process of who we're looking for. So that was a bit of a struggle at the beginning. We interviewed through people, and we came up with a process to do on-the-job interviews where we would, give them some tasks to do and bring in one of our personal cars and go, show me what skills you have. Let's try this out and see if this is a skill that fits, right? Because that's just like, it's trial and error for us on our own personal cars in the interview process, right? So it's like, bring my own car in. We're going to try this out. Do you have the, because it's tough, right? You're trying to figure out what skill am I really looking for? Because you don't just go hire out for mechanics and you don't hire out. It's not one of those traditional careers that you're looking for.
Yes.
So it was a process at the beginning looking for that. Also, we had opened this business just in the midst of the that housing bubble. So like financially, it was tight as far as like people weren't interested in spending a lot of money on things at that time. So business was a little slow starting out too, which is always difficult when you open a new business and the economy is not great.
Right.
So that was a bit of a process for us. It did make it a little bit easier. We weren't overwhelmed with work while we were trying to learn all these processes ourselves as well. So I think it was a blessing, even though like at the time it felt like, wow, this is a struggle. We're doing a lot of work. There's not an overwhelming amount of growth that we're seeing. The economy doesn't look great. How long is this going to take? So we were quite nervous working through those first couple of years, kind of as could be expected with a new business, right? You open a business and you just kind of, you have to know up front that it's going to be a struggle for a few years, and your patience will be tried.
Yes.
Yeah. Your fortitude will be tried to make sure that you're all in.
Now, at what point in time, because you're talking before about how, there was like a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Getting this whole thing going. At what point in time did you say to yourself, holy cow, this is actually working?
Yeah. I
Or
don't
are
know.
you still saying that?
Yeah. No, I mean, every day I think when I come in the morning and I'm ready to work, I pull in the parking lot and I'm excited. There's a lot of days where we have customers that drop their vehicles off overnight.
Interesting.
Yeah, just because of, the work scheduling and stuff. So I pull in the morning and I look at the parking lot and I'm like, we have a lot of work to do and we're not even open yet.
Yep.
And that's such a blessing. It's great for me, as the business owner to come in and see the stuff ready to go. People trust us. They're like, hey, I'm going to drop my keys in the lockbox for you. I already know what you're doing for me. We've got a lot of repeat customers and families that have, 2 or 3 generations of people that have been customers of ours. And, they just come in and they're like, hey, I want to get what my dad's been getting or grandpa's been getting or mom or whatever. I want that. Hey, do you have a record of that? And we do, right? Because we've been working with these families for so long. So it's kind of those moments where you start seeing family members and friends. They're like, hey, my friend so-and-so, can you look up what they had done? I want that.
Oh, cool.
And, right? So it's great with computers, right? You have a database of stuff and you can look up receipt history and be like, oh yeah, on their truck that they bought 3 years ago, we did this and this and this. That truck looks amazing. I want mine to look like that, and I'm going to keep it for 10 years, and I want it to look like that after 10 years. And they know that that's what they're getting.
Yeah.
So when we see that and we're like, hey man, my neighbor down the road, I was telling him his vehicle looks amazing. And he's like, well, I get it done at Ziebart. Go see them. And they come in, hey, my neighbor so-and-so. And you look them up or you can remember them. I've been here 15 years. I remember a lot of them. So these customers that, I know they're kids and we have time to talk
cool.
Sometimes when we're doing check-in, right? And it's, we've built relationships over the years, right? And so they're like, hey, so-and-so. I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, yeah, their pickup. And I'm like, yep, the black pickup truck that they have, want mine to stay looking like theirs is. I'm like, okay, well, this is what we did for them. This is the same thing we can do for you. And they're excited and they come and pick it up. And it's a joy just to build those relationships.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Because you were talking before about, pulling into the parking lot. And there's a ton there to unpack. I wish we we had more time. You talk about pulling into the parking lot and you're like, holy cow, we're busy and we're not even open yet. So COVID comes, right? Which we don't have time to go into that. But COVID comes, all businesses take a hit. After COVID gets done, your business experienced what every other business experienced, which is trying to find people to help. You've got all this work coming in. You're struggling to find people to help. Walk us through that.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of businesses that lost employees had employees that didn't want to come back to work after COVID, or were doing, moved on to different things because you had that gap of time, right? So through that, we definitely did the same struggle that every other business had, is help wanted signs, posting on Facebook, we're looking for people, asking friends of friends of friends, anybody looking for jobs. And we've had some success there of adding employees. Through that process, a business in placement agency in Bay City reached out to us.
Mm-hmm.
They do job placement. They work with a lot of special needs people, and they do job placement for these great people that have great work ethic. And then they figure out what type of skills they're interested in, and then go around with them to local businesses, introduce these people to the businesses, set up interview times. They have processes where it can be, they can send a job coach to help the management process, to help them learning. So that kind of maybe a intermediary between the management and the employee, so that they can have a little bit more one-on-one training time to get up and running with their skills. And so through that process, we had met a few gentlemen that were really eager to work on automobiles, had that same passion that I see in myself.
Right.
Like they love cars, they like automotive stuff. They got great skills towards that. So we interviewed a couple of guys. We've hired a few guys, and through that, the morale in the shop has changed. You see some guys that are excited about coming to work every day.
There's something.
Some guys that are excited to be on time early every single day, no matter what. They're here early. They're here until we're done working, no matter what. And the one thing is, any task that I've asked, I get the same response. Yes, I can do that. It's not a grumbling. There's no
rolling of the eyes or anything
there's
else.
this excitement about the purpose, the project, and the result at the end. And so through that experience, the morale in our shop has even changed. You see guys excited about being at work. You see guys excited about doing projects. Sometimes, I've been doing this same job for 15 years. There's some days where I look at this project and I'm not as excited about it as I was yesterday. It happens, right? You go through those stages, right? And you just kind of need maybe a little break or something to inspire you a little bit better. And then I have these guys coming in, and they're fresh to it, but they're also just excited about getting their hands on projects and doing stuff.
And working and contributing.
And then they're working alongside you, and they're like excited about this project. And I'm like, oh, that just renews that excitement for me. And it's not a fight to get somebody to do something. Like, you get some disgruntled people after a period of time. You got these guys excited about doing stuff every day. You're like, all right, you're firing me up now. And it changes the culture of the whole staff when you have that type of excitement going on.
You were talking before about how you and your wife had been praying for an opportunity for you that would pop up, allow you to support your family and have a family other than being a truck driver.
Right.
This was a very similar path for you. This was something where when you were struggling to find people, you actually decided to consult the ultimate HR department and ring God on the phone and talk to him about it.
Yep. So through the process of struggling with working a lot of hours to cover the shortage of employees, praying over the need that we have. We also have a great community around us. A lot of the neighbors to our shop will come in, and through having Christian conversations with people and sharing Jesus, you find out there's a lot of Christians around. And so we have a few neighbors that come in just to visit some days and pop in, and they're also praying for us to find the right employees and for the work to be there through this difficult economy. But yeah, it comes down to my wife and I, we're praying over the business, and we're praying over the need that we have. And we've really seen God answer prayers and bless us in mighty ways. Our church family is praying with us over these issues and everything. And I really feel like all of the success, and like I show up to work and I do my thing every day, right? But that's not what that growth is. I think God has provided these people to be in my life. I think God has provided these customers for us to interact with. And so it's just kind of a joy to see answered prayers, to go through struggles and see God work in ways that we didn't know. I wouldn't have been able to reach out to this agency had I not been short on employees. They've reached out to me before, and I just didn't have the need for it, and I didn't have enough time to be able to sit down with them and explore what that employment looks like. I didn't have enough time to go meet their guys and see the joy and excitement in these guys about automotive things. And I think through all of those circumstances, God has just orchestrated all of this for us as just a way to be a blessing to myself, to our staff here, and to this community. And then, through the process, one of the guys that works with me, I'm having this conversation with him maybe a couple of weeks into, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I am so impressed with the work you're doing. I'm so glad that you found us and came to work here. And a tear comes out of his eye, and he looks at me and he says, I'm 60 years old. I haven't had a job in 2.5 or 3 years. I thought no one wanted me. And I'm sobbing now. He's telling me
I'm getting choked up. That's
right?
great.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, buddy. Like, I really needed you in my life here because you got me fired up, but because you're inspiration to my workforce, and the work that you do is so consistent and so great. And I was just like, it brought a new dimension to it. To me, is he was at the point where he was so down that he was down on himself, you know,
Right.
because no one wanted him. He's like, what good am I? And he's an amazing worker. He's so attention to detail and constantly working. Like, I give him a project and he is on it immediately until it's done, and done to like the utmost satisfaction. And you can't ask for more than that with cheer too. And sometimes they're
Yes.
not even great jobs, to be honest with you. It's like the stuff that everyone's like, I don't want to do that no matter what it is. I'll quit. I'm not doing that.
Right.
You know, we get some dirty jobs. You get cars that people have been like neglecting badly. And he's like, this is a good project. I'm excited to see what this is going to look like when I get done with it. And I'm looking at it like, I don't even want to get in that car. And he's like, this is a good project. I want to see what it looks like when I'm done.
Beautiful.
So what an amazing thing.
So let me ask you this question here. I mean, because it goes back to this theme about having fulfillment in what it is that you're doing. But did you ever stop to think in doing all of this, like opening up the franchise and working and the detailing of cars and everything else that you do here? Did you ever stop to think for one moment that this was going to really impact people the way that it has, like the story you just shared about this gentleman, like struggling to find a job and how much this means to him? Did you ever think you were going to have that kind of impact?
You know, I really had hoped for something, but the amount has blown my mind. The amount of impact in the community, the amount of, you know, families that we've touched over the years. And like, I never really, I mean, I've had some jobs and stuff, and, you know, I've never really seen that kind of interaction between business and families to the point where, you know, like, we know a lot about each other, you know, because we have customers that we see quite a bit, and it's like to grow together kind of thing. That I had no concept of that. And then to this next stage of, you know, the struggle with employment, and then, you know, these new opportunities, and then these new people that we get to meet, and these new relationships that we get to develop. It's kind of constantly blowing my mind at how this has changed over the years, and how, when I feel like I've been here 15 years, what new can you do with, you know,
Right.
this type of stuff? And then all of a sudden there's a whole new layer that we're opening up. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what tomorrow and the next generation becomes, because if this keeps going, I'm excited.
This is beautiful. Ben, if somebody's listening to this and they want to come and check you out, they want to stop by, maybe they want to get some detailing done on their car, whatever that might be, how can they find you?
Yep. So we have a website. If you go to the Ziebart.com, if you search for Ziebart in Bay City, Michigan, you'll find our location. We are also on Facebook. You can find us there, and our store is located on Euclid Avenue in Bay City. You can come in and see us every day, and we'd be happy to just spend some time and just talk about what automotive needs you have.
Beautiful. Ben, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Cliff.
And for our audience, you can always roll on over to totalmichigan.com and click on Ben's interview and get the links that he mentioned. We'll talk to you next time when we talk to another Michigander doing some pretty extraordinary things. We'll see you then.